What the hell? Come on, buddy, let go. I sounded more annoyed than I felt. It wasn't a sharp tug, but a steady, urgent pull. The scruffy, mutt-brown dog just looked up at me, its eyes burning with a worried intelligence you don't usually see in a stray. I broke off a large piece of the biscuit in my hand. Here, eat up. It's all I got. It ignored the food, its eyes locked on mine. Then it looked over its shoulder, toward the vacant lot behind the gas station, a forgotten patch of weeds and construction debris. Then it pulled gently at my jeans again. A message without words. Follow me. Truth is, I'd seen the little guy around for about 3 days. Name's Earl. 30 years behind the wheel, you see hundreds of them. Most are scared or hungry. The first time, I tossed him half a turkey sandwich. He just sniffed it and backed away. Yesterday, I tried a piece of beef jerky. Wouldn't touch it. But this morning was different. The way it waited for me to come out of the convenience store. The way it ignored the biscuit. This wasn't hunger. This was desperation. And desperation always has a reason. I let out a long sigh, a plume of white fog in the chilly morning air. Every instinct a seasoned trucker has was screaming at me. Just leave it, Earl. Get in the truck and go. You're on a schedule. But I couldn't. I set my lukewarm coffee on the hood of my rig. All right, you win. Lead the way. As if it understood, it immediately let go of my pants and started trotting toward the lot, looking back every few seconds to make sure I was still following. A knot of unease tightened in my gut. I've been on the road long enough to know that when things get strange, they usually get a whole lot worse. The path into the lot was littered with broken glass and rebar sticking out of the ground like bone. The little dog navigated it expertly, then stopped beside a heap of old corrugated tin. It let out a low whine, a sound that sent a chill right down my spine. And that's when I saw it. Curled up on the damp earth was another dog. A little bigger, its tan coat matted with mud and blood. One of its back legs was twisted at a sickeningly unnatural angle, and its whole body was trembling uncontrollably, though it wasn't cold. Its breaths were shallow and fast. The little dog started desperately licking its companion's face, as if its love alone could heal the awful injuries. My heart dropped into my stomach. This wasn't a sick dog. This was a hit and run. And by the looks of it, it had been a while. I'm no vet, but I know what shock and blood loss look like. I knew if I didn't do something, I was going to watch a life fade out right here on this forgotten piece of land. I pulled out my phone, my hands shaking. 911? What would they do? Send an animal control officer? Probably hours from now, when it would be too late. And then I remembered. A few months back, my daughter had shared a video on my social media page. It was a clip of a group rescuing a bald eagle from some fishing line. They worked in silence, with speed and a profound respect. Quiet Paws, that was their name. I'd saved the number, just on a hunch. I made the call. The voice on the other end was calm and professional. I tried to explain the situation as clearly as I could. There's a dog. It was hit by a car. Its friend led me to it. Please, they don't have much time. They only asked for my location and said, "We're on our way. Please maintain a safe distance and do not attempt to move the injured animal. Stay on site if you can." About 20 minutes later, a dark blue, unmarked truck pulled off the highway. No flashing lights, no blaring siren. It just arrived. 3 people got out, and they moved with a purpose that was almost unnerving. The older guy, salt and pepper hair and a neatly trimmed beard, seemed to be the leader. His eyes were sharp, scanning the entire scene, assessing everything in silence. A young woman with her brown hair tied back, glasses on, was immediately on her knees, opening a kit that looked more professional than my own doctor's. And a tall, built kid with a bright orange beanie on his head didn't look at the dogs. He was looking around, at the hazards of the lot, the rebar, the holes. And then there was the fourth member, a gorgeous German Shepherd Husky mix with two different colored eyes, one ice blue, the other a warm brown. It emerged quietly from the truck, wearing a red rescue vest, and sat at the older man's side, waiting patiently. I just stood there, feeling completely useless, hoping to God I'd called the right people. The woman, the vet I presumed, started speaking in a low voice, a mix of clinical assessment and compassion. Deep shock, thready pulse, probable internal bleeding. Jack, we need to administer pain relief and stabilize him, now. Jack, the older man, nodded. Liam, clear the area. I don't want any surprises. Got it, the young man replied, and began moving swiftly, planting small orange flags to mark hazards I hadn't even noticed. The vet, Maya, pulled out a syringe. She moved slowly, deliberately, her body low to the ground, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. But the little loyal dog wasn't having it. The moment it saw the needle in Maya's hand, something shifted. Its ears flattened. A low growl started, deep in its chest. It got to its feet, took a step forward, and planted itself directly in front of its injured friend. The fur on its neck stood on end. It wasn't baring its teeth aggressively, but its message was unmistakable. Stay back. Oh no, I thought. All the little guy's work, the persistence in pulling my pant leg, the fragile trust it placed in a stranger. All of it was about to be undone by the one instinct it couldn't ignore, protecting its family. I saw the conflict on Maya's face. She knew she had to act fast, but she also couldn't risk stressing either animal further. The young man, Liam, paused his work, his hand drifting toward a slip lead on his belt. But Jack held up a hand. A small gesture, but it commanded the scene. Hold up, Maya, he said, his voice low and steady. Let me. Jack moved forward slowly. He didn't look at the growling dog. Instead, he crouched down about 30 feet away and just sat there in silence. Then he turned to his own rescue dog. Coda, he said softly. Come on, son. He unclipped the red rescue vest from Coda's back. A simple act, but I suddenly understood. He was removing the tool and leaving only the animal. Coda, now just a dog, moved forward. He didn't walk in a straight line. He moved in a wide, deliberate arc, his head low, ears back. The body language of appeasement, of peace. He never made direct eye contact. The guardian dog's growl faded, replaced by a confused whine. It looked at Coda, then back at its dying friend. Coda stopped a few feet away and lay down, resting his head on his paws. An act of absolute patience. I've seen tense negotiations on loading docks and screaming matches between drivers, but I have never witnessed a conversation as intense and as silent as that one. The little dog took a cautious step forward, sniffing the air. Coda just gave a slight thump of his tail. The little dog took another step, and finally, their noses touched. An understanding seemed to pass between them. The little dog whined again, but this time it wasn't a warning. It was a plea. It gave Coda's nose a single lick, then stepped back and sat beside its friend. But it was no longer blocking the way. It had given permission. The second Jack nodded, Maya was in motion. She glided in, swift and gentle, and administered the shot with an expert touch. The injured dog barely flinched. And then, as if on cue, the first drop of rain fell, making a dark speck in the dust. Then a second, and a third. The gray sky began to sag lower. "Storm's moving in," Liam called out, looking up. "We got to get them out of here, now." The rescue suddenly became a race. Liam quickly produced a soft stretcher. Maya, with Jack's help, gently worked it underneath the limp body. Every movement was calculated, no wasted motion. The little dog stood by, watching everything with worried eyes, whining occasionally, but not interfering. Coda stood right beside him, a solid, calming presence. As they lifted the stretcher, the rain began to fall in earnest, turning the dusty ground to slick mud. Liam walked backward in front of them, clearing a path with his boots. Jack held the rear, his steps careful to keep the stretcher level. Maya walked alongside, one hand holding an IV bag, the other constantly monitoring her patient. I stood there, useless, holding my jacket out over them as a flimsy, pointless umbrella. I wasn't an outsider anymore. Somehow, I had become part of this, a silent witness to the small miracle unfolding in the downpour. They got both dogs into the back of their truck, which was like a miniature mobile vet clinic. Maya was immediately at work, hooking up monitors. Jack turned to me, rain streaming down his weathered face. "Thank you," he said. "You saved their lives today." I just made a phone call," I stammered. He shook his head. "You listened. That's the most important part. You want to follow us to the temporary shelter? You deserve to see the rest of the story." I didn't hesitate for a second. I climbed into my rig and followed that dark blue truck, pulling away from the gas station and the vacant lot, feeling like I was leaving one world and entering another. The shelter was just a clean barn a kind farmer let them use, but inside, the Quiet Paws team had turned a corner into a field hospital. Bright lights, stainless steel tools laid out in perfect order. For hours, I just sat on a folding chair in the corner, nursing a coffee Liam gave me, and watched. I saw Maya work tirelessly, her concentration absolute. I saw Jack quietly coordinating everything, and Liam assisting, anticipating Maya's every need before she even voiced it. Coda lay at the door, on guard. The other little dog, who they'd decided to call Scout, lay in an open crate nearby, trembling, but his eyes never left the door to the surgery area. Finally, sometime after midnight, Maya emerged. She pulled off her surgical mask, her face etched with exhaustion, but her eyes were bright. She looked at me and smiled. "She's through. She has a broken femur and lost a lot of blood, but we got her stabilized. She's a fighter." A wave of relief washed over me so powerful I nearly fell out of my chair. Can I see them?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Maya nodded. "Let's bring her out." A few minutes later, Liam and Jack gently wheeled out a gurney. Tara, the name they'd given her, was lying on it, one leg expertly bandaged, hooked up to an IV, but she was breathing steadily. They opened Scout's crate. He didn't bound out. He went gently. He walked to the side of the gurney, carefully nuzzled his head against Tara's neck, and began to lick her ear. Tara's eyes fluttered open, and her tail gave a single, weak wag. I stood there, a hardened old trucker, and felt hot tears rolling down my cheeks. Jack came and stood beside me. "Loyalty like that," he said quietly. "It's a rare thing, in man or beast." I just nodded, unable to speak. I didn't sleep in my cab that night. I slept on that folding chair in the barn, not wanting to leave them. The next morning, before I hit the road, I went to see them one last time. They were curled up together, fast asleep. I left the biggest donation I could afford, knowing it would never be enough. Now, when I drive these long, endless highways, I don't just see the asphalt ahead. I look at the woods, the vacant lots, the ditches on the side of the road, and I wonder how many other stories are out there. How many silent pleas are just waiting for someone to bother to stop and listen? I stopped, once, and it changed everything. I'm Earl, and this isn't my story. It's the story of Scout and Tara, and the promise of a trucker who'll never look at the world the same way again.